Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to show you guys how to achieve the supernatural looking lace on your frontals for straight and curly hair. So if you're interested, keep watching. Okay, so you're going to start out with some aluminum foil, a mixing bowl for the bleach, the brush for the bleach. I use 30 volume developer, but any developer will work. And bleach. This is the bleach I use, but like I said, any bleach will work. I also use a semi-permanent hair dye. That's the color that I use, just to stop the brassiness. That's one of the main reasons why it doesn't look super brassy. So you're gonna start out with your frontal just laid flat. I put mine on some bags so that it doesn't get onto the counter or get messy. And then I tuck under the baby hairs because sometimes the bleach might get on the hairline. That can cause the baby hairs to turn blonde. Okay, yeah, I had to move the camera because that angle was not working for me. So I start out with bleach. I prefer to start out with bleach just because the developer is going to make it more smooth and you want more of a thick consistency. So I started out with a scoop and a half, which actually I ended up doubling it because since I'm doing 2 frontals, I needed more bleach. And then I added my developer. I prefer to go for a lower developer just because if I make a mistake or if I forget or if I leave it on for too long, at least I have that cushion, because a developer that's lower is going to take longer to process. So as you can see, I'm adding in more bleach and developer kind of as I go, and then I'm going to show you what the consistency ends up being. At that point I was out of developer, girl. I was so scared. But also keep in mind, you don't want to be at your consistency when you're mixing in the developer because you still have to add in the semi-permanent hair dye, and that's going to make the consistency a little bit more loose as well. So it kind of looks like a thick yogurt consistency. And then you add in a hearty amount of semi-permanent hair dye. I probably could have added some more, but it always makes me nervous when it turns purple at first, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope I didn't do something wrong. And as you can see, it quickly faded out, so I ended up adding in more. But I definitely checked the consistency first just to make sure that it wasn't too runny. Okay, so here are my frontals. On the left I have Body Wave from the Luxe Hair Company, and on the right I have Straight from Diamond Virgin Hair Company. I started with the wavier texture just because the more wavy or curly the texture, the longer I usually have to leave the bleach on the hair, so I thought it'd be smart to start on that side. So keep in mind, with wavier textures, it is going to take a little bit longer from what I've experienced. And I have a curly wig from the same hair company, which took actually longer than this wavy wig to bleach the knots. So I was at least prepared that it might take a little bit longer, so I started with this one. So you want to make sure you get the hairline. I laid it on there pretty thick, and you're going to see later that I laid it on a little bit too thick, so I kind of used some of that for the other frontal because I didn't have enough bleach. But you want to get every angle, every part. Make sure you get the hairline, because if you don't get the hairline, girl, it's like, what's the point? And if you don't get that very, very end, you know, where the back of the frontal is, it's okay. People aren't really going to see that anyway. But definitely try to get it as much as you can. And I lay it on there. I don't rub it or like press into the frontal at all. You kind of just like dab it on there. And sometimes it might kind of lift up and you might see a spot that you got already that you picked up some of the bleach off of. Just go back over it. It should be fine. And if a hair or two gets caught up in it, that's fine too. Honestly, one strand isn't going to make too big of a difference. Okay, so I'm done with the Luxe Hair Company frontal, and then I'm moving on to the Diamond Version Hair frontal. Now this frontal is a little bit wider too, so I ended up needing way more bleach than I thought I did. But I start with the hairline because I just want to make sure the hairline is fully saturated, you know, to the best of my ability, just because if the back of the hair is done last and it might be not as bleached as the front, I'd rather the front look as natural as possible. And yeah, so you're gonna see me taking from the other frontal because, girl, I put way too much on that one and I had nothing left for this one, which ended up being fine. Since I had just put the bleach on there, it doesn't like process fully yet. Sometimes when you leave bleach out, it kind of like foams up and it like processes. So since the bleach had just been put on, it's still pretty fresh, so it was okay for me to take a little bit from there. I know bleaching your frontal might be a little bit intimidating, but it's actually not too hard. If you just do everything you're supposed to do, such as, you know, making sure you get the frontal, making sure the consistency's right, then it should be fine. But if you try to do it and the consistency's wrong and you do it anyway, or you don't get the, you know, the front of it, it might end up turning out differently than you expect. Or if you leave it on there for too long and you don't actually look at it and check it. So if you just, you know, put the effort in to try, it usually turns out pretty well. And I'm definitely not a stylist or an expert. I'm just, you know, somebody who doesn't want to pay someone to do it for her. I take the aluminum foil and I put it on the frontal. I don't press it down super hard, and I make sure I put the shiny side down. And you just kind of want to cover it enough so it's like semi-sealed to kind of make the bleach process a little bit faster. Now you don't have to use aluminum foil, but it tends to help it process a little bit faster. And I don't know what the alternative would be, but girl, it could take a while. So I leave it on there for 20 minutes because I know the straight frontal is going to process faster than the curly one, so I want to make sure that I'm not leaving it on there for 30 minutes blindly. So after about 15 or so minutes, I went to look at the frontal, and basically in order to see, you know, if it's bleached fully or not, you kind of have to like peek in between the hairs, kind of like part it, and you get to kind of see if the hair is kind of like turning to brown at the lace. So that hair actually wasn't ready yet, so I put the aluminum foil back on it. And I tried to make sure I didn't place it on there. I tried to make sure I placed it on there so that no extra bleach got onto the hair, because there will be some bleach on the aluminum foil, so you have to be very careful. Okay, and now I'm checking the straight frontal. Like I said, being very careful. So you kind of just like flip the hair and you part it to look and see. You can kind of see that frontal, it has bleached a lot at the root. Sometimes the hairline might get a little bit bleached as well, but I pluck my frontals, so it's not that big of a deal for me. And it wasn't ready, so I put the foil back on, but that hair was almost ready. So since I had waited 15 minutes to check it, I just finished the last 5 off, and I washed the straight frontal first after 20 minutes. So I use Herbal Essences Hello Hydration Shampoo and Totally Twisted Conditioner. I ended up using a different conditioner on the rest of the hair for the straight hair that I have, just because I'm used to using the Totally Twisted, but this is the first time I've had straight hair in a while. And you can also see, so the roots look completely brown almost, so that means it's definitely time to wash it. So how I wash it is I pretty much just have at it. I'm not really concerned about if the bleach gets on the rest of the hair, because it's not going to process on there long enough. So I pretty much just rake off all the bleach, and then I start shampooing. But this hair had like gotten really soapy, which is very unusual. I've never experienced that before. I'm assuming they probably put something over the hair to protect it, so that you like have to co-wash it before using it. But girl, I was struggling trying to get this to subside. But I finally got all the bleach off, so I used the I used the shampoo right on the hair. So I rub it right into the frontal. Make sure you get both sides. Eventually you'll see it's gonna seep through anyway, so I just kind of lather it and saturate it, and then I go back and wash it. So I do that twice, and it was getting so soapy, oh my gosh. But yeah, make sure you scrub it really well. And then I get the shampoo again, and I wash that frontal one more time. And you can see how brown the frontal is compared to how light it was in the beginning of the video. And I'm getting the other side too, to make sure if any seep through that I'm getting it all out. So I ended up needing to go to the shower to wash it off because the sink was just getting too soapy. So once I did that, I put conditioner on the hair. I put it on the hair on the opposite side of the frontal lace. And you can see you can see the parting now versus before. So I put the conditioner on there, and I just let it sit. And there you go. There is the bleached look. Okay, so keep in mind that curly frontal has still been bleaching. So it took about 30 minutes. I took about 10 minutes to wash the hair. So, within about 30-35 minutes, the wavy frontal was ready. So I basically just did the same thing. I rake off all that bleach. Yeah, it literally looks like a bubble bath in there. Okay, so you can kind of see the bleached look and how you can actually see the parting. And so after this, I went and grabbed the shampoo, and I just saturated it on top of the lace, just like I did for the first frontal. And I just rubbed it and lathered it all in there. You want to make sure you wash it really well, just to be safe. You don't want your hair to be processing and you don't know. Okay, so I shampoo it one more time just to be safe. god, it was so soapy. I was like, no, I can't do this. So I went to the shower to wash it off, but this is the final look after the frontals had dried. Super natural, you know, like a real hairline. So I parted it a couple different ways just so you could see all the different angles of it. And yeah, that's the final look. I hope you guys liked it. Make sure you like and subscribe below, and thanks for watching. Bye.